A Spanish member of parliament, let alone one who speaks for the Foreign Affairs Commission, making a visit to Number Six Convent Place is a rare sight in these times of aggressive foreign policy. Nevertheless, here he is, Salvador de Encina, who is no stranger to Gibraltar, making an official visit to the Chief Minister to pave the way for a new path of dialogue. And already the relationship has yielded some fruit. Together with Ministers Joseph Garcia and John Cortés and La Línea PSOE spokesman Miguel Tornay, they've opened up discussions over what to do with Spanish sports fishermen, not to be confused with commercial fishermen, who have issues with licensing.
No, the issue with sports fishermen in the Línea and in the region has been that they have only been given licenses to fish for 2 weeks, and they have not then been able to renew those licenses for 6 months. And they are saying that that sometimes makes it impossible for them to do their sports fishing. If you have 2 weeks of Levant or 2 weeks of storms, then the period for which they have a permit does not allow them to do any fishing. This is not fishing which causes an environmental issue. So John Cortés has been looking at this in detail with his team, and the Fishing Commission is going to look at that this afternoon. Salvador and Miguel from La Línea are going to attend with some of the sports fishermen who are taking a very proactive approach to trying to resolve this in a way that is positive both for them and for the agenda of the local environmental authorities.
But the bigger picture has not been lost on these politicians. The looming spectre of Brexit was an important feature in these talks, and in particular the potential dangerous effects that the departure of the UK from Europe could have on both Spain and Gibraltar.
Yo quiero aprovechar, ya que estoy hablando a la televisión de Gibraltar, en primer lugar para decirles que respeto, obviamente, como no puede ser menos de un demócrata, la decisión libre y soberana que adopte cada uno de los gibraltareños y británicos el mes de junio, creo que el día 20 algo de junio, que tienen el referéndum. Mi deseo personal, no obstante, es que el Reino Unido y Gibraltar continúe en la Unión Europea, porque es bueno para Gibraltar, para el Reino Unido, y porque es bueno para España. Para España es muy bueno que esté el Reino Unido en la Unión Europea. Son decenas, 14 o 15 millones de ciudadanos británicos que visitan España anualmente. España con la Unión Europea tiene una relación comercial. Somos el segundo país exportador. Nosotros tenemos muchos trabajadores españoles aquí y en el Reino Unido. Estos últimos años muchísimos más que se verían afectados muy negativamente.
Well, Salvador has said today, as he has said in Spain before, that PSOE would not close the frontier in the event that the United Kingdom were to leave the EU. They are talking about looking at what mechanisms could be put in place to continue to ensure that there is freedom of movement of people and goods, even if Gibraltar were outside the EU. It's that sort of language that Gibraltar would want to hear, to know that we have friends who are there in the event of Gibraltar being out of the EU, who are not looking to capitalize on us leaving the EU. Of course, look, these are issues which will have to be negotiated by the United Kingdom and Gibraltar with Brussels, and together with all of the member states of the EU in respect of access to the single market. But the crossing point, the frontier between Gibraltar and Spain, is the crossing point into the EU, and we have comfort from him that instead of waiting to pounce, as Señor Margallo appears to be, here is a completely different, much more sensitive attitude which seeks to ensure that people on both sides of the frontier continue to be able to do business and continue to be able to have family relationships and relationships of friendship uninterrupted by the nonsense and the stupidity of a closure of a frontier that we saw in 1969, and without the need to make threatening noises, as we've heard Señor Margallo try and make.
Por tanto, ojalá el Reino Unido continúe y Gibraltar, por tanto, dentro de la Unión Europea. Y no me planteo otra situación. Pero si se diera, porque democráticamente elige, desde luego del Partido Socialista seguiríamos defendiendo lo que hemos dicho siempre y acabo de decir anteriormente, buscar mecanismos, puntos de encuentro para no retroceder en el pasado, que es obstaculizar la libertad de tránsito, de movimiento de personas y de mercancías, que es vital en un mundo globalizado y en una Europa en la que, independientemente de que el Reino Unido estuviera o no, que espero que sí y que siga, y por muchos años, se diera esa situación.
And the PSOE is committed to re-establishing the Trilateral Forum for dialogue, as well as reopening the Instituto Cervantes, two commitments enshrined in the Córdoba Agreement, which the PP hasn't honoured.